name is Grace Butler.
Hi, I'm Katie Duggan.
And this is the Are You Well podcast. So this week, myself and Katie said that we would discuss the universal laws. So there are 12 universal laws, and we're just going to jump straight in, and I will read out the actual law itself, and then I will read out the definition, and then me and Katie will have a little quick chat about it. So some of these people will already heard of, like such as the law of attraction is a big one, and then others you won't have heard of. So we'll just jump in. So the first one is the Law of Divine Oneness. So the first out of the 12 universal laws helps us to understand that we live in a world where everything is connected to everything else. Everything we do, say, think, and believe affects others and the universe around us. I love this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
it's how you are affects the whole external world and your internal world as well. So yeah, it's really, especially now what's going on, it's very relevant to what's going on now, because how you see, like at the beginning of the coronavirus, how everybody was angry at everybody else for moving around and things like that, and then it turned into compassion for the frontliners and be kind and all that kind of thing. So it just depends on the majority.
Yeah, absolutely.
What the vibe is.
Yeah, I think empathy, I think empathy and the law of divine oneness go hand in hand, because, and don't get me wrong, you can be empathetic without even being aware of this law. But I think the whole notion of being able to look at another person and see that they are suffering and feel for them, or even look at another person and not see that they are suffering, but be aware that they could very well be going through something, and let's be kind to them, and let's be kind to everybody, because everybody is going through their own shit. I think that they relate very well. I watched a documentary on Netflix ages ago called One Strange Rock.
Oh my God, love it.
Blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind. But when I was watching it, it made me realize then, and this is not something that's really mentioned in the actual documentary, it was just a conclusion that I came to from watching it, that it changed my view of the planet and the earth, in that I now truly believe that the earth is all one living organism. It is all different components of one living organism, because it was like, you know, the fact that things that are happening in the Amazon affect things that are happening in like Iceland and vice versa. It blew my mind. But it comes into that then as well. It was just the fact that the earth does operate as one. And there's things that are happening on one side of the planet that affect things that are happening on the other side of the planet. And it's like, even back to like being able to, like we were saying about vibes, being able to walk into a room and pick up on an atmosphere. We can't explain why we can do that, but we can do that. Obviously there are social cues and their body language and da. But like the fact that we can pick up on other people's emotions, and we can pick up on how other people are feeling without ever saying a word to them. And then if we can take that information and apply it, in, like what you're saying about compassion, and apply it in such a way that everything is connected, we are all connected to each other. So if we all operate on the basis that we are all connected to each other, well, then we will operate out of more love and out of more compassion. Because you don't necessarily need to understand exactly what somebody is struggling with to understand that they are struggling, or to understand that they are a human being, and just to be nice to them.
Well, the universal laws all reflect different religions, and they're different pillars, or they're different things that they go by. And it goes, I suppose, in Christianity, it's like do unto others as you would do unto yourself, and that's a form of, you know, the law of oneness. So like, don't do something to somebody else that you wouldn't like done to you, basically. So if you went about your life like that, it would be a much happier, nicer place.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
So yeah, the
I love
oneness is a
that.
massive thing.
I love I went off on a little mission when I was, I'm gonna say 17. I was still in school, I know that much. And I went off on a little mission. I suffered from insomnia in 5th and 6th year in school, and my nights were spent because I couldn't sleep, so my nights were spent either, if it was the summer, if it was brighter in the mornings, I'd go for a run at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise then I used to spend the night binge watching or googling things. And one little mission I went on was drawing comparisons between all of the different religions and all of the different like, do you like the pantheons? Like, yeah, obviously you have the Hindu pantheon, and then you have the Greek pantheon and the Roman gods, and drawing all of these comparisons. And it's so funny, like what you're saying about the do unto others as you do unto yourself. It's so funny when you actually sit down and do that, and you actually realize how similar religions are.
Yeah. They
They're
all have the
all,
same basis, just different tweaks, different outlooks. But when it comes down to the core, they're all the same. And that goes back to oneness once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
It all comes back around. It's like a boomerang. It goes out, collects what it needs, and comes back to the core of what it truly is. Like, yeah,
it's like the expression, the same thing, only different.
Yeah.
I think the law of oneness you can apply to pretty much anything you want.
But all the laws, they're all the same, just a different perspective as well, which is mad, you know. Like they're all just different strains of the same, what it necessarily is the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we'll move on to number 2. The law of vibration. So the law of vibration states that everything in the universe moves, vibrates, and travels in circular patterns. The same principles of vibration in the physical world apply to our thoughts, feelings, desires, and wills in the etheric world. Each sound, thing, and even thought has its own vibrational frequency, unique unto itself.
I love this because I'm a Reiki master and work with energy, and it's just goes back to those centers that you know, everything holds a vibration. A rock holds a vibration, the wall holds a vibration, even a dead body holds a vibration because it decays. So there's always something happening. Everything is moving, nothing ever stops. We are vibrating at about, well, a healthy body would be kind of 60 hertz and up, and a body that holds disease or any disorders is 58 and below, I think. So you know, if you can keep your vibration high, you'll never be sick. You know, it's all about raising your vibration, and how you do it is through thoughts, feelings, doing all of those things. Like, so it just starts with vibration.
Yeah, I love that because it's one of the ones that can partially be proved by science, as in like the laws of physics apply here, because they've done like seismic testing on they've done it on healing crystals, but it's been done on absolutely everything, and every single physical thing on this planet that you can think of holds a vibration of some degree. Everything. Yeah, absolutely everything. So I find that really interesting. And then I love I try not to listen to music when I'm meditating, because I find well, I'd rather not need music, because if there ever comes a day that like I've no electricity, or there ever comes a day where I'm like stuck in the middle of the park and my phone has gone dead and I want to meditate, I would like to be able to do that in the noise of the world. Do you know what I mean? But I do listen to music, like those solfeggio frequencies and stuff when I'm pottering around the house, or when I'm working, or when I'm sleeping. And so there's different frequencies then for depending on what you want to do, whether you want to relax or whether you want to hype yourself up or whatever, and they do work. Like all those different frequencies, they do actually work, and even the effect that singing bowls have. Singing bowls send me into another dimension. They don't make me sleepy, they just send me off into send me into the depths of my mind, and I love it. I absolutely love a good sound bath. With the crystal singing bowls. But that's vibration then again, and like absolutely, even with like an emotional thing, I think some people might listen to it and they think the fact of vibration and emotions might not resonate with them. But one thing I would say is, if you take out the whole word vibration and you just use the word vibe, so a vibe like is, so vibe to me is like my spidey senses, do you know what I mean? But it is actually vibration. That's what it's short for. But it, like everything, like even the dogs, like even, you know, when you're around an animal and an animal puts you in a good mood, that's because they have a higher vibration than whatever my grumpy self is up to. So yeah, I think the law of vibration, I really enjoyed that one, because it's kind of a way of how can I make the physical world have a desired effect on my inner world. Do you know what I mean? Like, what can I do in my physical world that will affect my inside world my inner world in a positive way?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because like people that suffer with, say, depression, their vibration is very low, and then all they have to do is raise their vibration up. Now I say all they have to do, it's quite simple in context, but very difficult to do, obviously, when you're in the depths of depression. But that's the direction that you need to focus on. But unfortunately, because they're feeling so low, everything that they're around and they see and they do is low as well, and it brings them down even further. And then you have someone with anxiety and their vibration is too high, and they don't have the connection with the grounding. So what they have to do is come down into themselves, rather than being in their head or worrying too much about the future. So for them, it's slowing down, and it's for people with depression to speed up a little bit. And that comes back down to the chakras again, because say the root is the slowest turning wheel, and then your crown then is just at such a high speed. So it's about getting the balance, but you can't have one without the other. So it comes back to oneness again. You know, so they all intertwine in between each other. So like I find, say, when I'm doing Reiki sessions on people or on myself or whatever, you can always feel when something isn't vibrating as it should. When someone comes in for a treatment, you can instantly feel, because I'm clairsentient, I can really feel. So if you had a pain in your stomach, I would have a pain in my stomach. And then when you go then, or this pain is resolved, that goes in me then as well. It's mad, like, because I'm picking up on your vibration. So, and it's the same with anything, but everything is energy. And like, it's hard for people to understand energy or vibes, but yet they can understand electricity. They can't see it, they don't know how it works, but yet they know when they plug their socket, their charger into the wall and plug in their phone, that electricity will go. And I'm trying to explain to them, this is how energy works, this is how Reiki or any other of those things actually work. And it's quite simple, but completely complicated at the same time.
It's so funny, isn't it, that we're always looking for a more complicated answer.
I think acceptance, just know that this is it. Like, don't try and get into the workings. It's like the same when you get into a car and you turn the key. You don't need to know how all the parts fit together in order to drive the car. You just get in the car, turn the key, and off you go. Fill it with petrol every now and again, and oil. Keep the windows clean, and you know, you don't really need to know much after that.
And it's so funny, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I think the reason, so say with the car, is you put the keys in and you turn it and the car starts, and then you put your foot on the clutch and you put the car in gear, you go. And these are all things that you're doing. You're interacting with a physical thing, so you can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it, you can touch it, you know what I mean? It's tangible in the physical world. Whereas with say any of the universal laws, your only proof is a feeling, is the feeling that it's working. And the funny thing is you won't believe it until you feel it, and then when you feel it, you're like, this is it, this is absolutely it. And it's like, why did I never but once you start to feel all of these things working, there's no doubt in your mind, and you don't doubt that they
No.
exist because you can
Yeah.
feel them. And that's
But we
so
still
hard
do
to,
doubt it though.
yeah.
We still do doubt when we get that gut feeling or that intuition, and we know, but then our human self steps in the way then and say, nah, that couldn't be it, don't listen to that,
Yeah.
like, you know. And
Yeah,
that's why it's so important for people to really trust their gut, trust your intuition, and trust the vibe, because it's never wrong. You know, when you meet that person and you're like, oh, there's just something about that person, and it could be good or not so good, and then you find out 6 months, a year later, you're like, you know, I was right about that. Like, I was right about my gut feeling. And then people are on different vibrations then as well. So that's why a lot of relationships don't work. Like, they're two amazing people, and the relationship doesn't work because they're just different vibrations.
Yeah.
You know, aesthetically, or, you know, they could be a perfect match, but if the vibration isn't there, it'll never work. Like, you know, they'll be completely mismatched.
Yes, absolutely. I enjoy reading about the law of vibration. I enjoy kind of experimenting with vibrations in general, because any time I set about raising my own vibration, I always feel better. I always feel it. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel good now today, or
Like
I'm
the
feeling
magic
motivated. Yeah, exactly. Or I'm feeling sharp, or whatever it is. I think it's a great point of focus.
And it's funny, like, everybody always says to me at the end of the yoga class, like, what is that feeling? And they just they can't put their finger on it. I'm like, you don't need to know what it is, but that is a sense of your true self and how you can feel every single day. And they just want more and more and more and more of it. And it's addictive, because it's who you truly are, that feeling, that higher vibrational feeling where nothing else matters, only that. Like, but it's a cheap drug. It's a cheap drug.
Yeah, absolutely. I had that this morning when I was in my meditation. It was lovely. Do you know when you get to that point in your meditation where you're just not thinking, you're not anything, you're just sitting there. I have my eyes closed now, I'm trying to go back there, but you're just observing whatever it is. You're observing your own mind, or just sitting there with yourself, and everything else falls away. And I had that this morning in my meditation, and I came out with it. I was like, this is going to be a good day. And I've been in good form since. I know I'll be in good form for the rest of the day. But it's that whole feeling of contentness then as well, when you do get to that stage of being on a little bit of a higher vibration. It's nice. I love that. I like that feeling of contentness. I always remember all my life been chasing happiness, and that's a fool's errand to just chase happiness, because otherwise anytime you're not happy, then you end up miserable because you're not happy. Whereas I find once I started focusing on just being content, it didn't really matter whether I was happy, sad, or indifferent, because I was truly content inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You have to have a baseline. So contentment is the line going straight across, and then happiness is the curve above, and then unhappiness is the curve below. So you can, as long as you can come back to that baseline of contentment or acceptance or just being or whatever, and you can go up and down, because that is life. Like, you can't always be happy. Sorry to tell you, like, life will come in and make you sad, and you'll go below the baseline, and then you bring yourself back up, and then that thing will go away, and then you come back down to the content line again, and you might drop. So it's always an up and down, but it's just to realize that you're in that state and stay there for as long as you need, or that is necessary. It was like me the other day. I was like, right, getting off the pity pot now once again, pulling myself back together, because I was like, how long am I going to spend on this path? You know, where is the end point? So you have to make a decision, right, okay, I've grieved that, or I've been upset over that. Now it's time to come up to that contentment, and then there's happiness there again, you know. So it's just a constant dance kind of that. And that's vibration again. Your vibe was low, just bring it back up again, dust yourself off.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you're not going to stay, you're not going to be like high vibe every day for the rest of your life. That's not how it works either. It's going to, that
It's
is
kind of
it.
exhausting.
Yeah, 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 exactly. It really is because like say even when I was my anxiety was really bad, and when I say I mean to say high vibration, I was jittering. Like I was like all of the time. That wear you out. Absolutely
Yeah, it does. It wears you
exhaustion.
out.
Yeah, like
It
even if
takes
you,
energy to be happy. No, it doesn't take energy to be happy. It takes energy to be high all the time, and
yeah.
it takes energy to be low all the time. But it's just different energy,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
I like the word excitement there because they use the word excitement with atoms as well in physics. But that's what it is. It's like you get excited and you go up and up and up, and then it's like, oh, okay, need to come back down now. What goes up must come down, as they say.
Yeah. And there's another thing as well, like with Reiki. Say you can do distant healing, or you can
Mhm.
send healing, and people are like, how in the name of God does that work? So I could
Mhm.
say to you, Grace, I'm going to send you healing, or at like say 1 o'clock, and you will feel it. Like, so
Yeah.
it goes back to say when you're thinking of someone as well, and they call, or
Mhm.
you're thinking of someone and they send a text message, you've sent out a vibration. So it's
Mhm.
almost like uh,
Telepathic.
telecommunications,
Yeah, yeah,
telepathic.
yeah.
Yeah, because you've set that thought in your mind, and that person received it. I'm like, oh, I'll call Grace, or I'll call Katie, or
Yeah.
whatever. So it goes back to that as well. It's like the ripple effect. So yeah, be mindful of what you think. Be mindful
Mhm.
of, just because you don't say it, you're thinking it. So when you have a thought, that chemical reaction is sent throughout your whole entire body within seconds.
Yeah.
That's how fast this works. Like, it's
Mhm.
instant. It's
Yeah.
instant. Yeah.
For anybody who finds themselves in like like find yourself in a bad mood and you can't shake yourself out of it, those the what I said earlier on about the solfeggio frequencies, I find them great for snapping me out of a bad, if I'm in like a
Mm.
if I'm having like a humperdinck moment, as I would call it, if I'm
Mm.
sulking or whatever it is, if
Yeah.
I put those on and I go about something, then so like I might put on that music, and then I might go make a cup of tea, and by the time I have the cup of tea made, I've kind of forgot what was grumping me,
Yeah.
and I can kind of go about my day then. But I find music a great way.
Yeah.
Sound and smell I find to be two great ways to kind of snap me out of whatever funk I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes, so the next one then is the law of action. So the law of action must be applied in order for us to manifest things on earth. Therefore, we must engage in actions that support our thoughts, dreams, emotions, and words. Yes, love this
I
one.
love this as well.
Yeah.
This goes for anybody that's a real dreamer, and they have the
Hi.
wildest dreams, and they're
Hello.
always thinking, and they want to do this, that, and the other thing. But if you don't start, if you don't take
Yeah.
that first step, you'll
Mm,
always be a dreamer. So you're not
yeah.
adhering to the law of action. You just have to start,
Yeah.
whether you make a fool of yourself or not. That's one less time that you'll do, because you learn as you go. But yeah,
Mm,
I'm the same. Like, I was 2 feet in the mud. I was like holding myself back.
yeah.
But you have to take action, because nobody else is going to do it for you, because
No,
they have their
definitely.
own law of action to take on for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah,
So you just
absolutely.
have to do it.
And
Have
that's
to.
the thing with I remember people, I think this is why when The Secret came out, the law of attraction just didn't resonate with me at first, because I had all of the dreams, I had all of the positive thoughts, I had all of the everything. Do you know what I mean? I had all of the
Mm.
plans, but the plans stayed between the top of my head, my chin, and they never made it down to any of the rest of me. So I never did anything with them. Do you know what I mean? It was always just
Yeah.
dreams, always just living in the clouds. And
Mm.
it wasn't really until kind of this year that I kind of went, wait. Well, last year I kind of really started working on my chakras, and then realized that I needed to majorly ground myself, and with that then also learned then that I need to start applying the law of action and ground myself kind of together,
Mm.
because I was spending so much time in my upper chakras and up in the clouds that which is grand, but there's also work that needs to be done on earth for you to achieve those dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can become very delusional as well if you spend too much time up there. So you have to bring yourself down into it, because it's all about the physical here on earth.
Yeah, I have to be so careful because if anyone wants to look this up, look up maladaptive daydreaming. It's a thing. I didn't know this was a thing until last year or the year before. But I have what I would call like intrusive daydreams. So imagine like it's like you're dreaming at nighttime, but it happens in the middle of the day when I'm wide awake, and it could be like the most horrifying thing in the world, or it could be lovely. It could be just I'm off daydreaming for a little while, and that sounds nice. But sometimes it's like a nightmare, but I'm awake, and I'll end up in like in floods of tears over it as well. And that was where I had to be so careful to start, like, with what I'm watching on TV, what I'm watching on Netflix, like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones sent me into a spin for weeks and weeks and weeks after it ended, because I couldn't stop daydreaming about it. And that's where I have to now be so careful to make sure that everything I'm doing, anything I'm daydreaming about, is like rooted in reality and rooted in what I want to go about doing. Because it's not that I don't know that these daydreams aren't real. I'm fully aware that they're not real, but I will spend 8 hours a day daydreaming if I don't actively try and do things, you know what I mean, and like actively act on what I would like to achieve.
Like the law of attraction and the law of action kind of come hand in hand, because you have to think of the things that you want to attract in your life. So you have to think of those, you have to manifest them in your mind, and then you have to take action. I remember when I was doing my yoga teacher training in India, and I wrote out just a list of things like that I potentially wanted to do with this new thing that I've learned from a yoga teacher or whatever. And they were just simple things, like, and I wrote them down on my, it's an old phone now, I don't know even where it gone, but it was like 17 things, and about 80 to 90% of those things came true. And the other 15 or 10% will come true soon, I've no doubt. But like how they came about was just not what I expected. So what I did was I just wrote down like about 3 words, like say donation yoga was one of them, and now this is happening. Donation yoga is happening. Another thing was mat sprays, and the chakra sprays came this year.
That's so funny,
Do you know? But like that's 4 years ago, you know, so everything takes time. Like when you put your phone to charge at night, it takes time. You just don't plug it in, plug it out again. So this is where people kind of get I suppose they get frustrated with their action, like, I'm doing all these things and nothing is happening. Like, but you have to give it time. Like, if all of those things that I wrote down 4 years ago all came true at the same time, I'd be so overwhelmed. I wouldn't be ready. I wouldn't be qualified. Not qualified. I wouldn't be, I suppose, knowledgeable enough in myself to experience to be able to cope with all those things that I've manifested. So if you are thinking of something that you want, you know, you have to be ready to receive it. So you have to put the plans in place and take the action in order to get there. So I'm looking at all these things like, oh yeah, they actually, like retreats. Retreats was another thing. I wouldn't have been able to do hold a retreat after my teacher training. I could barely hold a class in my own head, like, you know, because it's just so much. And now I've done my 2nd, 3rd, 4th retreat, you know. So
and I suppose it's like if the like a sub rule to the law of action should be the law of actionable steps.
Break that stuff down.
Oh yeah, break it down as much as you can, because like I am the queen of being overfaced by a task. So there'll be a big task in front of me, and I'll be looking at it going, there's so much to do there, and it's daunting. So break everything down, set yourself like little like yearly objectives, and set yourself little like monthly objectives and daily objectives and all of that fun stuff. and 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 make it that you can, that you, like, you have this overall goal, but have some like little milestones along the way that you can kind of be like, oh yeah, I am actually moving towards that. But I think another thing that comes with that is trust in the process, in that if you are taking one step in front of the one foot in front of the other every day, and you are making progress in a direction, then the things that you want will come to you in various different ways.
I have yearly goals, 6-month goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals.
It's important to say.
Well, it takes that kind of what you were saying, like looking at a big task and getting really overwhelmed. It takes all of that out, because you can see the big goal over there, and then you're like, oh well, all these little steps, it's like a stairways to heaven.
You have to give yourself like the little milestones, because otherwise, like, say you're sitting there and you're like, I want to live in a 50 billion square foot mansion in Calabasas. Okay, but how
are you going to get there?
How do you intend on making that happen? Because otherwise you're just like, I remember setting myself all of these little things, or being like, oh, I'd love to do this, and I want to be a doctor, and I want to go here, and I want to move to London, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Never actually doing anything about it, and then feeling like a failure because
they didn't happen.
Yeah, because every so often it'll dawn on me that they're like all of these little goals that I had set for myself that I never actually achieved, or all of these little dreams that I had that I never actually did anything with. So they kind of make you feel like poop. So, yeah, definitely take some action. Okay, so the next one then is the Law of Correspondence. So this law states that the principles or laws of physics that explain the physical world, energy, light, vibration, and motion, have their corresponding principles in the etheric or universe, like as above, so below. So
yeah, that's a little bit more of a complicated one.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I think we probably won't go into it too much, just because it is, well, like if somebody was to start talking to me about the Law of Correspondence a couple of years ago, it would have melted my brain. But I suppose a kind of a simple way of explaining it is like comes back to vibrations. So if a vibration can affect your emotions, while simultaneously a rock holds a vibration. It just means that what is represented in the physical world also has a representation in the universe, or in the spiritual world, or whatever words you use on it. And that one can affect the other, and one is a mirror of the other, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that goes back to like what you're experiencing, what your internal environment is like will show itself in your external environment.
Absolutely. We'll move on to the next one, I'd say, because like you could get into the Law of Correspondence, you could get into it, but the only thing is it's a little bit more scientific and kind of can get a little bit complicated. So the next one is the Law of Cause and Effect. I absolutely love this one. So the universal law states that nothing happens by chance or outside the universal laws. Every action has a reaction or consequence, and we reap what we have sown.
Yeah, I definitely don't believe that things happen by chance. No. I think everything is divinely orientated and set out, and it will deviate according to you. So you have a life path, and you will eventually end up where you're supposed to go, but there'll be different avenues.
Yeah.
And it can take you anywhere. Like, you can get scratched along the way, you can go down the dark path, you can go down the light path, you can go here, there, and everywhere, above and below, but essentially you will end up where you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like, I think in physics they have this is a law of physics as well, in that for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that is one of the laws of physics. Maybe I'm talking to my butt, but whatever. But yeah, like it's so funny because if I look back at a lot of the horrendous things that have happened through my past or whatever, I can kind of see why they happened. I can see how
Yeah.
everything, do you know what I
There's
mean?
a
It's like,
pattern.
yeah, I can see the dominoes that fell over in order to make that happen. Do you know what I mean? Things don't
Yeah.
happen by chance. It's like, for example, if I drive down to Tesco now later on and my car breaks down, it's not going to be because my car randomly broke down. It's going to be because the engine light's been on it the last 2 months and I've done nothing about it. Do you know?
Yeah, this is it.
Like,
This is it.
yeah.
And it's the same with the law of action. You know, you'll stay exactly where you are if you keep doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do something different and your whole life will change. Well, change your perspective and your whole life will change. For
Oh,
better
yeah.
or for worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's the two sides of it, like.
Yeah, 100%. And the
Mm.
thing with the law of effect is law of cause and effect as well is if you take that on and you realize that everything that happens in your world, not the vast majority of everything that happens in your world to a certain degree is within your control. So therefore you can actually orchestrate what happens going forward for the most part. Obviously there are things that will happen, like you can't control the weather, and there are
The
things that will happen,
coronavirus.
yeah, the coronavirus, or like the death of a loved one, or those kind of things. Obviously you can't control those, but the day-to-day mundane things like your fitness, your health, your career, your education, all of those things, the amount of money that you've got, like all of those things, and your general happiness, you can control those. There are actions that you can take that will have reactions of a positive effect on whatever you want, and then you realize actually I'm in control, and then you're like, oh, and when you realize you're in control, then life gets a whole lot more interesting, because it's like, oh wait,
Yeah.
now I can actually, I am not a victim of my own life. I'm not just along for the ride, like I'm actually at the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's quite daunting for people when they hear that. They're like, what? Everything that's happened to me is my own fault. Yeah, necessarily.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Like I look back at, like, even like say an ex-boyfriend who was extremely controlling, and just like a number of different things. But I look back on that and I understand exactly why that happened, because I was so desperate for love. Do you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to be loved, and I would have done anything to be loved. So then I made myself a prime candidate to be manipulated. Do you know what I mean? But I know that now. I can look back on that and be like, yep, I absolutely brought that on myself. And it's not that I'm like, oh, I brought that on myself, so that's another stick to beat myself with. It's like I brought that on myself, which means I can choose to not bring that on myself again.
Yeah, well, there's huge healing in that as well, and acceptance. You're like, oh, well, that happened, and I have control over that not happening again, because you've experienced it now, and then you know.
Yeah, and you learn from it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the next one then is the law of compensation. So this law is the law of cause and effect applied to blessings and abundance that are provided for us. The visible effects of our deeds are given to us in gifts, money, inheritances, friendships, and blessings.
Yeah, you never know. Count your blessings.
Oh,
you
yeah,
never
absolutely.
know where these things will come flying in, and people cut themselves off because they're like, oh, in order to be rich I have to win the lotto. But sure, there's so much richness and wealth out there that it doesn't have to come through the lotto or through working yourself to a bone. Like there's other ways that it can come to you, but you're just not open to it. So it'll fly around you, and it will never actually come in because you're not open to it. You're not allowing yourself to be open to the infinite amount of possibilities, and there are infinite. Like when I look back at the opportunities I was given, I was like, I would have never ever thought that in a million years. So when people ask you to like do your dream boards or manifestations, There's kind of advantages and disadvantages, because you can be really, really detailed in it,
Yeah.
down to like color, smells, everything, or you can be really vague. And I was really vague 4 years ago when I was writing mine down. I just left them completely open. They were just notions. They were just kind of like headings. For example, donation yoga or whatever. But then there's other people that like visualize, say, the house, their dream home, and they have the whole thing like done out to a T, and they actually get it. You know, so like it just depends. Or a dream job, or a dream partner, or a dream car, all those things can be really detailed or really vague. So try both and see what happens. Like a really good way to do it is like start with something small. So start with something like a card coming in the post from somebody random, or start with like when you go into a shop, something being on special that has always been like too expensive for you to afford. I always play those games with myself. There was one time when I was walking around the eco park, and I was thinking, I was like, show me a sign of a blue door, you know, if I'm on the right track or whatever. And I went for reflexology that day to this new person that I never went to before. And what color was the door? Blue. I was like, and I love doing things like that. So say like with you, I was like trying to manifest people to come into my life, you know, to assist me in whatever it was that I was doing. And lo and behold, Grace pops in.
It's so funny, isn't it? Because like because obviously I was looking for people to work with at the time, and I was very conscious that I didn't want to work with, not that I didn't want to work with, I was very conscious that I would love to work somewhere in wellness, because obviously I like wholeheartedly believe in the power of yoga, meditation, the chakra system, all of it. And so it was so funny then that because it was so random, I was just thinking like, who could I contact? And then next thing you know, I looked at your Instagram story and I was like, Katie. I just wanted to say as well, another word for the law of compensation is the law of abundance. But there's abundance everywhere. It's abundance all around us. My first experience with abundance, without realizing what it was I was freaking out with panicking to my mother one day about money. Obviously now can't remember what I was freaking out about, but it was just, or what specifically, but it was just something to do with money anyway. I didn't have enough money, and Mum turned around to me. I was in an absolute spin, and Mum turned around to me. She was like, "Stop worrying about the money will come from somewhere." And I was like, yeah. And I slowly started to like adopt that as a mantra without realizing what I was doing. This is 5 or 6 years ago. Without realizing what I was doing, I used to say that to myself all the time, like, stop worrying about the money will come from somewhere. Stop worrying about the money will come from somewhere. And I used to repeat it to myself over and over again. And that has rang true more than anything I have ever come across in my life, because it does. It does, at least in my experience. Anytime I have ever needed money for anything, if I've really needed it, it will come from somewhere. And I don't mean like somebody gives it to me. I mean like I might get tax back, or I might sell something, or do you know, that kind of a thing.
But there's so many possibilities, like many. But you just have to be open to the infinite possibilities. I was only saying to somebody this morning, when I ask for something, I say I want this or something better, because you could have this idea in your head, no, this is how it's going to happen, but then there's a bigger, better thing there in the waiting for you, and then next minute, you know, the half good thing comes to you, and you're like, oh, okay, sure, I'll just take that, whereas the bigger, better thing was there, but you just weren't open to it.
It's I love that as well, the infinite possibility, because if you believe that the possibilities are infinite, well then they are. But if you don't believe that, well then you're shutting yourself down from those possibilities.
What you believe is true.
I believe in fairies.
Someone asked me that the other day. I was walking and I put up an Instagram video of where I was walking, and they were like, "Any fairies?" I was like, "No, just me."
I
The biggest
love that.
fairy of them all.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Tinkerbell reborn.
That is my name. Someone calls me Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. All you're missing is the little wings.
I know. Have you seen them?
The law of abundance as well, or the law of compensation, whatever you want to call it, I think applies to everything, not only money. So like even just where I see abundance an awful lot is every evening when I go for my walk. I go for my walk and I'm looking up at the clouds and I'm like, oh my God, they are so pretty. You know, when the sun is going down, it's shining up on the clouds are all them mad colours. Love that. Or even looking at all the like flowers and leaves and trees and birdies and
the whole lot.
Yeah, like there's abundance all around us. You just have to open your eyes and look for it.
Yeah.
So now the next one, probably the most famous one, the law of attraction. So
yes.
the law of attraction demonstrates how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives. Our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce energies, which in turn attract like energies. Negative energies attract negative energies, and positive energies attract positive energies.
Yeah, it's just really summed up every single thing that we've talked about.
Yeah, like I feel like this should be an actual scientific fact. I don't know how they're going to scientifically prove it, but
I love the law of attraction book, the video, the movie they made. I just love the whole lot. But you know, Esther and Jerry Hicks were actually the original people of the law of attraction. And is it Rhonda Byrne? Is it Rhonda Byrne who wrote the book?
Yeah, I think so.
But she actually kind of took it from underneath him. But if you listen to Abraham Hicks, you ever listen to her?
Yeah.
If you listen to her, she says that the law of attraction, as it's written in Rhonda's book, is incomplete, and she's so right, because I was looking at it and I was like, there's something lacking in this, you know. But I've listened to Esther Hicks. It was actually Karen, one of my yoga students, put me onto her, and I'm not joking. I thank her every day, because it's what she says is repetitive, but the way she says it's always in different contexts, but it always comes back to the same thing. You know, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was never able to finish The Secret. I tried to watch it, I tried to listen to it, and I tried to read it, and every single time your one gave me the skeeves, and I was never able to finish it. No, I did. I read about the law of attraction, but it was just there was something about her that I was like, it's not sitting right with me. So
yeah, she I think they met on a cruise ship. And Esther and Jerry Hicks were doing their workshops, and she wants to know more. Oh no, she was interviewing them or something, and she basically took everything they said and put it into the book Secret and into the movies. So yeah,
bananas, isn't it?
But look at that. You think that was competition, but then you look at Esther Hicks, and she is like an icon around the world. Like she is, like, so a lot of people say, oh, this competition is not enough, and they took this and they took that. It's like, there's enough here for everybody, you know. If you think there's a lack, there's going to be a lack, there's going to be competition. But if you think that there's, that's just them doing their thing and I'll do my thing, well then, you know, there's never any of that.
Yeah, and it's so funny then as well, because obviously she learned all of that information from those people, but was it theirs to begin with? Did she?
No, because it was a law.
Yeah,
it was a universal spiritual law anyway, but she just gathered it all up and put it into a book.
Yeah, it's funny, but the law of attraction, I think, even if you, so a really simple way is, if you are in foul humor and you are looking for things wrong, you will find them. You'll find things around you that are wrong. But if you if you are in good form and you're looking around for good things and you're looking around for why everything is right rather than why everything is wrong, you'll find loads of good things.
It's like the saying goes, I got out of the wrong side of the bed this morning. Or I stubbed my toe. I was like, oh, today's going to be a really shitty day. Yeah, it will, because you've already stated that.
Yeah, you've already put that out into the world that you are about to have a shit day. So it's
whereas, like you said this morning, like today it's going to be a great day, and you have to make the intention, because consciously or unconsciously, that day will take form, and you have to set it out for yourself. So it's important to decide what kind of day you're going to have.
I am every morning. I always tell myself that it's a beautiful day to be alive.
Yeah.
Every morning, and even if I wake up and I just feel horrible or I'm really upset about something or whatever, I always remind myself that it is a beautiful day to be alive. And if you can do that, like you're kind of laughing, because it just changes your perspective. It just changes the way you look at things. And the minute you change how you look at things, good things start to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that brings us on to the next one then, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So the 8th out of the 12 universal laws is a powerful one. It states that all persons have within them the power to change the conditions in their lives. Higher vibrations consume and transform lower ones. Thus, each of us can change the energies in our lives by understanding the universal laws and applying the principles in such a way as to effect change.
Love conquers all. Love is the highest vibration. But you cannot destroy energy. It just cannot be destroyed. But you can change it, and you can mold it. Just like electricity. How do you think they get electricity into that socket? Because they've changed. They have positive and negative and earthing. You know, to go back to when you were in school and you had to do a plug, all those different colors, and each color was there. You know, we had was a blue, red, brown, and green, or something like that. I haven't looked at the inside of a plug in a long time, but you are not any much different from a plug.
Yeah, totally. And it's so funny because, like, I just had a little brainwave there, but I was saying earlier on about scientifically proving the universal laws. And the thing about it is, we have actually scientifically proved the transmutation of energy, because in what you're saying about electricity. But it's so funny because some people don't. Sure, you have people who just do not believe in these laws and think it's madness. But if you go back 1,000 years ago, okay, and you go into somebody's little hut house and you tell them that in 1,000 years they're going to be able to plug 3 spikes into a wall and a light's going to come on, they're going to be like, you, sir, are insane. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, sorry, that realization just came to me there a second ago. But yeah, like you like what you said, you can't destroy energy, but you can change it, you can manipulate it, you can do whatever you want with it, really. And if you choose to go out into the world as being optimistic, being open to opportunity, being fluid, and being like, not, when I say fluid, I mean kind of, don't be so stuck to your goals that if something changes it destroys your world. Do you know what I mean? Obviously you want to be motivated, but be adaptable, and when you are more open to change and open to opportunity, everything is easier. Like, you're not, like, things happen, things go wrong, and it's not that big of a disaster. Whereas if you're in quite a closed mindset, or quite a mindset of kind of just looking for everything that's wrong, the minute that something goes wrong, it throws you for a loop, and you're like, here, like, I can't do anything now, or this has happened and has ruined my whole day. No, it's ruined 10 minutes of your day. You're ruining the rest of your day.
Yeah.
No, but I think I really like that one in particular, because it's so funny, because back to the law of oneness again, they're all the same things, just reiterations of the same thing.
Yeah, just different strains, strains.
So the next one then is the Law of Relativity. This law states that each person will receive a series of problems for the purpose of strengthening the light within. We must consider each of these tests to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts when proceeding to solve the problems. This law also teaches us to compare our problems to others' problems and put everything into its proper perspective. No matter how bad we perceive our situation to be, there is always someone in a worse position. It is all relative.
Yeah, like nobody gets through life unscathed because you're here to learn and experience. And yeah, I think if you put your problems into a pot, you wouldn't be long about taking back your own.
No, definitely not. I read a quote the other day, and I'm pretty sure I should know who said this, and I should know the quote a little bit better. But basically, the gist of it, or I'm paraphrasing here, is that every every human at some point in their life will have to face the darkest shadow of their soul, and then it's what they do with that is what makes the person. So
yeah,
like we will all have, well, there will be horrific things that happen to us all or happen in our lives at some point throughout our lives, and it's what you make of it is the important part. So what do you do with that suffering? So I know for me, for a very long time with my suffering, I decided the best course of action was to inflict more suffering on myself, and just, you know, go down the route of partying non-stop. And not, like, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with partying in and of itself. It just depends on your motivations. And my motivations were to escape, it was to numb, it was to just forget about my life, forget about the world. I just wanted to not care. So that, like, obviously that's unhealthy. But then at some point it turned in my head, and I kind of like had to face all of the things that had happened and all of the things that went wrong. And I am a much stronger person for it, and a much more compassionate person for it. And like we will all suffer, but you can make good of that suffering. And another thing that I found actually with making good of suffering is there's an element of guilt to it. Like you know, if you lose someone or something goes really wrong, and then something comes out of it that you benefit from, and then it's this guilt that comes with that. Then it's like, oh God, I should be benefiting from anyone else's pain or anything. But it's like the law of cause and effect, or like everything has everything has a reaction. So it's being able to take your suffering and then being able to make some good of it, or be able to see some silver lining, or being able to take some lesson from it, and then moving forward. I think
everything happens for a reason. That's kind of the simple explanation, and I'm a firm believer in that, because I don't think I would be where I am today without everything that has happened to me through my life. And it's just like you said, it just depends on how you use that, and you can use it for the greater good, or you can use it to stay where you are and go in reverse.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because I think it either goes one way or the other. You either do it either goes that you want to do it for the greater good, or it goes into self-destruct. I've never, in my experience, and I could be wrong, but I've never seen an in between.
No, there is no in between. It's either one way or the other, and that's what brings us on to the next one, I think, which is polarity.
Yes.
They come in.
Yeah, so the law of polarity, this law states that everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. We can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole. It is the law of mental vibrations. I love this one. And the first thing that comes to mind when I think about this is gratitude, because I remember in that book that I preach about, Stress Less, Accomplish More, Emily Fletcher says in that when you are in a state of gratitude, it is impossible for your mind to be in any other state. And therefore, when I am anxious, when I am sad, when I feel depressed, when I am scared, when I am angry, gratitude is where I go, because gratitude is the opposite, and it pulls you back around.
Well, it goes back to love defeating all, because gratitude is a form of love. So if you're holding love or gratitude or joy or anything, none of those other lower vibrational thoughts or emotions can be there. So it
Yeah.
just depends on how long. I think Abraham Hicks says 17 seconds to change your thoughts.
Oh, definitely.
17 seconds. 17
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
So people spend their whole day in a funk, whole week, whole year,
Mhm.
whole life, but it just takes 17 seconds to get on a different
Yeah.
vibration.
Yeah.
Like, why would you
Absolutely.
not? But it's again, people are just not aware of it. Like, people just, but you have to train yourself. It's a very simple
Yes.
concept, but you have to practice it.
I
You
think
have to
the
keep.
issue a lot of people have is that it's like, oh, it can't be that simple. So then
It
they don't
is.
bother, they don't try, and it's like, no, it is that simple. Please just
Yeah.
try, please.
It's like what we just said in the law of reality. Like, there's only two ways. You
Yeah.
can go self-destruct, or you can go for the greater good. But you
Yeah.
just have to get yourself on that path to go there. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny
and
when you
it
say
is simple as that. You just have to give it a go.
when you say love conquers all, is it Jimi Hendrix said this? When the power of love overcomes the love of power, then the world will know peace.
I'm not familiar.
I think it's Jimi Hendrix said it, but I think again with polarity, it's a great example because you look at the love of power versus the power of love.
Yeah.
And just how opposite they are. But yeah, love does conquer all, and
But you have to have the two as well, because if you did not know what sadness or grief or anything those are, then how would you know what happiness and joy and excitement and all those things? So that's why it's important to experience all of those lower vibrational things so you can appreciate those higher vibrational things.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why like not that I am grateful for the dark moments in my life because they have put into context the brighter moments. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like if you're never sad, then how would you know to be happy?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the next one is the law of rhythm. This law states that everything vibrates and moves to certain rhythms. These rhythms establish seasons, cycles, stages of development and patterns. Each cycle reflects the regularity of God's universe. Masters know how to rise above negative parts of a cycle by never getting too excited or allowing negative things to penetrate their consciousness.
This too shall pass.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
And it goes to like having no attachment, and that's where liberation and ascension and all those things are, because if you're so attached to something and holding on to your youth, holding on to your possessions, holding on to your relationships, holding on to those things, like, it's going to be a very, very traumatic parting, because nothing lasts forever.
No.
People are born, people die, situations change, jobs come and go, houses come and go, finances come and go, but like, yeah, people just forget to let go. Yeah, everything is constantly moving, constantly changing, and you just have to remember to go with it, go with the flow.
Yeah, I think if you can, if you can make peace with the fact that everything in this world moves in seasons, whether it's your emotions, whether it's like what you're saying, different things in your life, houses, jobs, whatever. If you can make peace with the fact that nothing lasts forever, and so that's nothing good lasts forever, nothing bad lasts forever, well, then you can come back to that baseline of contentment, and life is so much easier. Everything is so much easier because it's so much easier to let go of things when it's kind of like, oh, look, right, okay, this thing is going. Sometimes that can break your heart, depending on what it is, but something else will come into your life, and there will be other things that will come into your life, and there'll be other good things that'll happen, and it's the one thing that things come and go. This too shall pass, nothing lasts forever. There are a billion quotes on this one, but if you can make your peace with that, then life is a lot more is a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Now, and then on to the last one, the law of gender. This last out of the 12 universal laws states that everything has its masculine yang and feminine yin principles, and that these are the basis for all creation. The spiritual initiate must balance the masculine and feminine energies within herself or himself to become a master and a true co-creator with God.
Yeah, I would say I am very yang, even though I'm a woman. I have very yang tendencies. I'm a fire sign. I'm very adventurous. I like to get things done. So for me, working on my yin or my feminine, like doing yin yoga, is a massive struggle for me. Oh my God, to slow down, it's really, really a struggle. And when I connect with those more yin sides, I feel so much more whole, so much more complete, so much more balanced. And then if you have two yang people in a relationship, that's just like me and my mother. We're both fire signs, we're both Sagittarius, and like we just cannot live in the same house. We love each other to the bone, we love each other to the moon and back, but we just cannot live together. We would, because we're too similar. And it's just, whereas if you have like a fire sign and an earth sign, or a yin and a yang, it's a perfect match, like really perfect.
I think I really like, so like the chakra system, the chakra system is a great way to get things specifically into balance, but I also love the using masculine and feminine energy to try and balance that as well. I am very yin. I am very chill, very go with the flow of my life. And don't get me wrong, like the anxiety, like I suffer from anxiety for a really long time. So in that regard, I was not very chill. But as say going with life, I am much more suited to go with the flow of everything. Do you know what I mean? And just kind of see where life takes me. But then that means I can be very backseat as well. So that's where I need to bring in the masculine energy and balance that out and bring in a little bit more fire, because otherwise I'm just like la la la, floating through life on a little cloud.
Oh no, see, I need structure.
Yeah, I know. I'd happily now float through life on a little magic carpet, but the world is not set up for that. The world, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we live in a very yang world. So in order for me to survive and to thrive, I do need to bring in and try and balance the masculine energy with the feminine energy, because otherwise I will just be snoozing around for the rest of my life.
But even if you look at the yin and yang sign, like it's black and white, but you have a dot of each in the opposite, you know. So that's important. Like, you are yin because that's your personality. I'm yang because that's who I am. But yet I do need to recognize the female aspect in myself, or the divine feminine, or the yin energy, because I'll be totally out of balance then. I'll be too rigid, I'll be too hard on myself, I'll burn out because I'm going too fast. And so it's important to, that's why I'll do yin yoga once a week. I'll focus on like my sacral chakra or my heart chakra. So it's important, like, to go back to those and give those parts of you attention, because they are parts of you as well. It might be smaller parts, or not so prominent parts, but they are parts that need to be nurtured and explored and things like that.
I think they hold a lot of answers though as well, because I used to think that I was useless. I used to think that I was lazy. I used to think that that I just didn't want to do anything, and that a waster is the word I used to use on myself the whole time. Do you know what I mean? But as I learned more about my chakras and what was in balance and out of balance, and as I learned more about masculine and feminine energy and yin and yang, I realized then that, no, it's not that I'm lazy, and it's not that I don't want to do work. It's just I do everything at my own pace, and I tend to be a lot more relaxed about the constructs that we have put up in this world. You know what I mean? Like time. I've said this before. I'm so relaxed about time.
See, I'm the opposite. Like, I live by time. I live by time.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's not, even though it's hard, I find with masculine and feminine energy, because we are in the Western world, and the Western world is set up very much for yang energy, and it's set up by yang energy. It's very easy, if you do tend towards the inside, to think that there's something wrong with you, or to think that you're lazy, or to think that, what, just to think that there's something wrong with you. But when I realized then that it's not that there's something wrong with me as such, it's just the constructs that we are set up for right now are not as suited to me in my natural state. So I just have to work a little bit harder to adhere to them, and to kind of be able to be able to work within those constructs. You know what I mean? Because whether we like it or not, I would love to in the morning move to an island somewhere. Island life is the life for me, but that's not, it's not on the cards for a number of reasons, because there's plenty of things I want to do with my life, and I don't want to be secluded forever. Do you know what I mean? There are things I want to do. So it's just about adapting to the world that you're in, and recognizing that that there are two different types of energies at play, and that you can not manipulate is the wrong word, but I'm going to use it anyway. You can manipulate them to suit yourself, and to suit where you're headed and what you're doing. And
yeah. Absolutely. So that's the laws.
Yeah, that was a long one. But I think I remember reading about the universal laws first, and the first time I was reading about them, I was kind of like, some of this resonates, some of it doesn't, some of it sounds insane. And then I kind of left it for a few months, and then did a little bit more research, and then as I was doing more and more research, I realized that these things made more and more sense. And then once they start to make sense to you, it's kind of hard for them not to make sense. They can't unmake sense.
You just have to start applying them to your life and see how they work, and start with small things, and just look forward to the wins and the abundance and the attracting all that you want into your life. But start small, and then you will get the bigger things then when you're ready.
Yeah, and start with what resonates as well. Like, I think the laws of attraction and the laws of action are two great places to start. So if you're the kind of person that thinks very negatively, well, then go to the law of attraction. Or if you're the kind of person like me who has all of these ideas and can't actually seem to execute anything, go to the law of action and start with what resonates, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for all of the support so far. Katie and I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and until next week, we will chat to you